You have just entered the building with your boys, King and Sane. Welcome to Shop Talkin' Random-ish, where conversation rules the nation and no topic is off limits.
You know, this ain't nothing but healthy conversation.
Now welcome your hosts, Rick King and Will Sane.
Take. I said take. I said take. Me out to the ball game. Take. I said take. Me out with the crowd. Now buy me some peanuts. Buy me some peanuts. Buy me. Take. I'm pretty mad.
Well, this calls for a celebration. Yes. Let's have some Kool-Aid. All right.
Welcome to Barbershop Talking Random-ish with your boys, King and Sane. I am Rick King. I am in the building. I am behind the board. I am behind the glass. I am on the boards. I am. Will Sane is not in the building with us tonight. If he's on the side of the road and y'all see him, please stop and pick my brother up. He might be having some problems. But we do have the lovely Starlight in the building. How are you, ma'am?
I'm good, sir. I'm good. How are you?
Oh, man, I am living the American dream. It might be nightmare, depending on who watching this story.
It's an interesting thing.
You know what I mean? We got the super producer in the building. G, what's good with you?
Yo.
That's G.
It is.
And we also got family back in the building. Mac, what's good with you, my brother?
Hey, all is well. I'm glad to be here.
Hey, man, we glad you're here. You are here for a special conversation that we having at 9 o'clock. I got a couple other guests supposed to be calling in. We're going to continue some of the conversation we was having last week. Last week we had the Dennises, Harold and Sabrina, beautiful, lovely couple. They was in the building. We were supposed to have been talking about politics. I don't even know if we even got around to politics. Because we got to talking about their story and they battle with the Rona. Also, when talking about the Rona, we also, our super video producer himself had his battle with the Rona. And as we were talking about it, I started thinking, I know some people that's trying to be part of the fix to the problem of the Rona. So I got on the phone. I called my boy Neil Browning, who's been on the show before. He was part of the original trials. We're trying to find the vaccine. And also another one of our classmates, Doug Lloyd, is in these latest trials of trying to find a vaccine. And then I thought about my boy Mac. Mac right now is one of the only, at the time,
Put me out there.
At the time, he was one of the only black guys. Notice I said black guys because for some reason women are either more smarter than we are or they dumber than we are. We trying to figure it out. But Mac was one of the first and the only black guys at the time that I heard to say it, that he will take a vaccine if there's one available. But he also loves science. So we're going to get into that. But first, y'all heard how we started this thing off. Celebrations, kudos. Greg, jump on here. Let's talk about it. Major League Baseball.
Yes.
Has finally is acknowledging the Negro League, the Negro Baseball League. They are finally giving them props. They saluting them. They making them part of the game. My first question is Josh Gibson the home run king?
I thought it was Hank Aaron.
No.
If you look up, no.
Put it like this: certain people will say Babe Ruth because obvious reasons.
Right.
Some people say Hank Aaron because they're the baseball purists. They claim to be that. The advanced baseball nerds will say Sadaharu O.
Oh, put me on.
Oh, I forgot about
him.
Out of Japan.
Yeah.
Out of Japan.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I forgot about him.
What's his name? Nichiro.
Ichiro.
His folks.
And Chiro?
Yeah.
Is it? Yeah.
Ichiro.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Y'all are horrible right now. Being real American over here.
But the true baseball historians who also include the Negro Leagues as part of their history, which Major League Baseball just decided to do.
Yes, sir.
The guy is Josh Gibson.
Okay.
And because they and to this day they still, because if you look at it on his wiki page, they got 800 to 1,000 home runs.
They don't even know how many it actually is.
Yes.
What?
Yes.
I don't mind the history books and the stat books having to be re-looked at. Like, I don't mind that.
Well, they're adding the Negro Leagues as part of the history because Hank Aaron did play in the Negro Leagues for a little bit. Mm-hmm. Jackie Robinson, of course, came up there. Mm-hmm. We know about Satchel Paige.
Yes.
Satchel Paige and Josh Gibson are the legends.
And they are, both of them are in the Hall of Fame, right?
I believe so.
Yes.
They're in the fact.
Yes, they are. It took a minute for Satchel Paige because do you consider the Negro Leagues? Because by the time he came to the majors, he was already in his 40s.
Yes, but he still
around.
Oh yeah.
Yes,
The arm
he was almost
still
50.
good.
He was still out there.
Yes.
So,
The arm was still good.
Yes. So, but my question is, if they are part of now, so are they gonna do it the way it should be done? Is he gonna be called the home run king?
Well, there are no official numbers, so that's going to stop people. If it's 850 to 1,000 home runs and we don't know,
But I mean,
that's going to stop
850?
people because the numbers matter so much in baseball.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
If it's 850, he's the
Like,
guy.
I was like, if it's
It's him.
850 to 1,000, you at least take the minimum number and put that up with the books.
But some people are like, well, we don't know how many. You know, and that like you would add Satchel Paige's wins.
Yeah.
Yes.
There were several players who they would have 3,000 hits now if you included it.
But what would Hank Aaron home
batting
run
averages will go up?
Yeah.
But what would Hank Aaron home run totals be? And
His would have to be higher as well.
Jackie Robinson's, because if we took the stats from both leagues and combined them, where would they put their numbers? Also,
I mean, it would definitely be higher. I mean, I don't know how many home runs Hank Aaron hit in the Negro Leagues. I don't think he played there very long because I think he got there like at the very end.
Jackie
Negro
Robinson
Leagues,
has more.
The Negro Leagues ended, like Jackie Robinson got called up to the Dodgers in 1947. 1948 was the last year of the Negro Leagues.
Yeah.
They're like, well, they letting black people in now, so we don't have to do this.
Yeah.
okay. That's a big thing now.
Wonder our MLB stats department hiring.
Now, I got to interject real quick.
Go ahead.
Somebody told me that Michael Jordan killed the desire for little black boys to play baseball.
How?
It depends.
I mean, I know when I was coming up as a shorty, we played baseball a little bit, but the generation before me, like my father's generation and back, they loved some baseball.
Yeah.
It was like baseball was an afterthought for us. We was trying to hoop.
I think it depends on. Yeah. I think it more so depends on the structure of the sports, where the sports love in your family goes more so. Because, like I was telling you off air before we got started, my goddad at my church is actually a part of baseball history because his little league team in 1955 in Pensacola was supposed to be the first team to play an integrated game. But the white team decided not to play. And so a couple years ago, a documentary was made about that whole process. And I know just from his you at least touch a bat. You at least touch it. Like if you happen to not be good, you just happen to not be good. But they are also all good. So I know it's like it depends on how you get structured. In the same way you look at like most guys that I know that play basketball, it was kind of put in them because their dad like either liked basketball a lot or they played it. And then so I kind of just think it depends on where that sports love in your family is, because one of the easiest things to get your kids into early and get that energy out is like either a soccer team or a t-ball team, because they get structure as well as getting that used to immediate everybody is a part of a team kind of structure.
Right.
Well, baseball. I mean, when I was growing up, we talked about softball. My granddad, they watched baseball. I think we actually had an uncle who pitched. But it's just that hoop and that football.
Yes.
Well, there was something I was hearing about earlier with when this story came out. With basketball and football, you don't need to have a lot of equipment and a lot of structure to actually play the game. You can play 1-on-1, 2-on-2. In football, you can play 5-on-5 or something like that, and you just need space. But with baseball, you got to have the bases. You got to have gloves.
It's got to be at least 6-on-6.
Yeah, but all the other equipment that you don't always have to play. And then in certain neighborhoods, there isn't that baseball field.
True.
Money.
And the
money.
Let's
no.
I know you're going there, but there's another way that money is part of it. If you think about all these kids who, anybody who ever watched the Little League World Series, these kids are traveling around the country for weeks or months at a time.
Yes.
That costs money.
It does.
Who has the money to do that?
I coached AAU basketball for the Atlanta Celtics. We had tournaments we had to decline because it just didn't fit in the budget.
Yeah.
We played in Charlotte, Richmond, all these other places. Then y'all want us to go to California?
Yeah, that across the. But that's the one thing, like Greg was saying with Little League. Almost when you make a team or when you get on a team, that's one of the first things they tell you is like, look, we got the possibility that we're gonna be traveling. So one, are you gonna allow your kid to possibly miss school days if we need them to travel? And two, are you willing to put up the time and finances to get them there? And a lot of these parents, if their kid really is into baseball and they get to a actual traveling team, they deal with it because one, we all know the smaller the ball, the bigger the check, and the longer you can play if you keep yourself healthy.
Big facts.
Because look like with the Little League World Series, it was that team from Chicago with all black kids, and that was a big deal.
And the picture was a girl, wasn't it?
Yeah.
She was a beast. A whole beast.
Monet Davis.
Monet Davis.
I don't know if she was on that team.
Okay.
But it was another team from Chicago that won the U.S. championship. And it was a big deal that like these black kids, a team full of black kids made this run in this tournament to where we see a lot of white children.
Yeah.
I mean,
and Latino.
It was something straight out of Hardball, if anybody remembers that movie.
I got a friend. Actually, my nephew just signed a scholarship, a D2 scholarship with Wingate.
Okay, but North Carolina.
Yeah. North Carolina.
Big baseball school.
I'm trying to get my brother and him to come in and let's have because I want to have a conversation about that whole recruiting and the whole thing. But I also got a guy I used to work with, and he's trying to get his son. His son is a major prospect, and he's in middle school going to high school.
That's when they start looking at him too.
Yeah.
I got another friend, her son. But the things I've been told is the black kids, let's talk about what it is. Up to a certain level, our athleticism, our pure skill got us. Up until around 12 years old, they say that I heard that that's when it starts to change because we don't have the money for the training. we don't have the money for the travel, and the kids and a lot of the affluent kids. You got to train them. You have to train them. You got to go to these specialized camps. You got to go in because let's say what Bryce Harper. Well, Bryce Harper.
They put him on flights when he was 12.
Yeah,
11
yeah.
And
he was also like really good.
I mean,
he kind of had the talent too.
Like he skipped his senior year of high school to go to college.
Bro, that's what I'm saying. But
so he can be on the college team.
But I can say, like my nephew, listening to his dad, my brother Steve, happy birthday, Steve. Today's your birthday. Happy birthday. But listen to the stories they tell and the camps and the things. I went out to East Cobb. Oh my God! If you go out to East Cobb in those tournaments and to watch my nephew play, man, just the people. But it's not a lot of us out there.
Oh yeah,
it's not a lot of us out there because, like I say, my brother been like, damn, the monies, bruh. So yeah, and I think that's separated. I think. Jordan made that thing look cute.
I don't think Jordan had a lot to like with ruining baseball for black kids. I don't think it's on him.
Let me say this. What I mean by that is I feel as though Michael Jordan was the first individualized sports athlete where there was a whole machine pushed him like that. And it had such a far reach.
Yes.
And I know like upon Jordan's ascension, he had won the finals in 91, won the finals in 92, won the finals in 93. So it's just Jordan.
And then right behind that, remember the Fab Five. The Fab Five jumped in there, and they coming out with the big baggy. See, Jordan had the first baggy shorts, but then Fab Five took the back shorts and put them, and then they put the black socks with the black shoes.
Exactly.
And
I'm from Detroit, so I saw it.
So I
saw it firsthand.
And like I said, they my class.
Right.
Thanks, Jalen.
Here's where I may differ with that.
Okay.
It's not because of how. I mean, you kind of touched on it with how Jordan was pushed. How he was marketed at the time.
Right.
Baseball never really does that. As far as someone being known on an international level.
Yeah.
That happens with only a couple of sports. That's basketball, soccer, and low-key cricket.
Yeah,
really?
yeah. That sport is coming,
every day.
but that sport is coming around because it's catching the money. So
cricket. People playing cricket like that.
Cricket is more in like your affluent countries. Like that's their sport.
Wow. ESPN did a Fame 100, the 100 most famous athletes in the world.
It's cricket
based on. People talking about it on social media, what they make in endorsements, what they make on the field, or whatever their sport is. Cricket had quite a number of players.
Yeah, but you also
in the top 50. They had a lot.
You got to look at the countries that.
But yeah, India was cricket is the biggest sport in India.
London,
of course.
I mean England.
More so, they've taken India more so because
it's more India.
I mean, it's partly because of they were a British colony,
right? Exactly.
But it's like. You got 1 billion people sitting here. This is what they mainly see. So yeah, it's gonna get big.
Like I think the two biggest sports in India are cricket and basketball.
Yeah,
really? Over soccer. Mm-hmm. Wow.
Soccer's up there. Soccer was up there, but I think if basketball might be third, but it's catching up to soccer.
Okay.
As far as popularity, but it's more. It's just about if it was about being famous on an international level. And that's what the black kids see, then they're going to play those sports that can give them that. And a lot of times it's going to be basketball over soccer. You would think soccer would be up there, but as far as the travel, the training, that is the same with soccer. It's the same with baseball.
It is.
To where it's more of an access thing. I mean, Tiger's one of the biggest athletes in the world, but it got black people more interested in golf. Right. But the kids weren't going to the course to start training and playing. Not a whole lot.
But even them clubs are expensive.
This is true, and even
like just being on the course is expensive.
And even when we had Drew Charter in here, a lot of his boys on his team were saying they needed something to carry them over either from a baseball injury or in between baseball season. So they got into golf, and they just happened to love it once they got into it. But it's like. it's still that whole thing like, oh, okay, if you're not introduced to it, or if you're not shown, like Greg said, if we see more internationalness about stuff, because that's sort of what's happening right now with soccer.
Okay.
Because America is allowing people to see what other sports that are out there. There's a lot more kids now coming out of just not wanting to be football or basketball.
Well, see, I think well, with soccer here in Atlanta, the Five Stripes, they took the world as a storm. And plus we have such a Hispanic community till I'm talking about when
not just that. I mean, there's
the international community here.
It's an international community.
Loves it, but
But but we jumped on, and the thing about the Five Stripes, they came in the running.
Yeah,
they came in because we made a playoff run the first year.
Yeah,
won the championship the second
year.
Won the
championship the second year,
and they went back to the playoff.
And then so they jumped in. And they got us excited. I'm jumping up and yelling around the room. I mean, it's trying to learn the chants and going on because that MLS event is kind of like college ball, college football.
Yeah.
You see the elk jumping and hanging out and kicking it, and everybody having a good time, eating good, and it's a party. It's almost like it's a vibe. It's definitely a vibe.
Great way to put it.
Yeah.
It's definitely a vibe. But
our Bravos have, like when you did mention the whole Hispanic community, our Bravos resurgence has brought that back out as well too. So it's like okay.
Hey, don't.
There's kind of been a little bit of, I don't know if it's purposeful or if the front office was trying to appeal more to the fans, and by the fans I mean Cobb County, by not having so many Latino players.
Exactly.
You know, who are they pushing out as their best player? Freddie Freeman.
Yeah.
Or when Maddox, Glavin, and Smoltz were here, they were the stars of the team.
They
not
were.
so much focus on McGriff or Ron Gantz, Fracall, Andrew Jones.
But that's the one thing that shows. It's almost like what you saying, that the politics of it or the business side of it is doing one thing, but the talent side is like, okay, if you could sit down and just talk with a kid and be like, look, this is the whole thing of sports. And so it even goes back to just them realizing they needed to recognize the Negro League and what it was and what it did for the sport, and bring all of it into just the house of baseball. It made sense to finally do that.
Right.
I mean, I salute baseball for doing it. We got to get ready. Finna get ready to come on. Finna get ready to go to radio. Finna take a break. Get a station ID, pay a few bills, and when we come back, we got Neil Browning, Doug Lloyd, and my man Mac. We finna talk about the Rona. We will be right back. Yeah.
Mike Capel here, serial entrepreneur. I started my first business in the basement of a factory over 30 years ago. We had no heat and no air conditioning. Instead of customers, our office visitors were rats, birds, flies, and snakes. Our office flooded often, and we used blankets as our office walls. We were broke and needed help. That's why I created Patriot Software, to help small business owners with simple payroll for 1 to 100 employees. And if you need help, we will help you for free. Go to patriotsoftware.com. Use promo code RADIO and get 2 months of payroll processing free. That's patriotsoftware.com.
With patriotsoftware.com, accounting and payroll, keep your time and money.
You're tuned into WWWE Hakeville, AM 1100.
The opinions expressed during the sponsored programs on this station are strictly those of the program hosts, guests, and callers, and are not necessarily those of Beasley Broadcast Group, this station, its staff, other advertisers, or agencies.
Thank you for tuning in to Talking Random-ish with King and Sane and the lovely Starlight.
Welcome black to Barbershop Talking Random Ish with your boys. King Insane. I am Rick King. Will Sane is not in the building with us right now. He is having some car problems. So if you see my dog on the side of the road, please pick him up. Please pick him up, boy. But we do have the lovely Starlight in the building.
How are you, sir?
I am well. How about yourself, Miss Lady?
I'm good.
And we also got video producer extraordinaire, G in the building, Big Suge.
Yo.
We also got family back in the building. We got Mac back in the building with us.
Thanks for having me.
We also have on the phone lines, we got my man, two classmates of mine. We got Doug Lloyd out of Athens, Georgia, and Neil Browning, returning family out of Seattle, Washington. What's good, my brothers?
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, glad to be back again.
And we got last week we did a show, like I said in the opening. Last week we did a show where we had Harold Dennis and his lovely wife Sabrina, and Greg. Also, we was talking. It got into the conversation of having about the coronavirus because those three people have had the virus. And so as we was talking about it, I got to thinking about, hey, I know a couple guys that might be part of the process of trying to get a vaccine for this. And also in these thoughts, I thought of my brother Mac here, who at the time was one of the only black guys that's not, I guess, professional or in the high ranks of life and living.
I'm in nursing school, though. I'm trying to become an RN.
He's in nursing school. Yes, he is. That said that he would take it. Now, I mention that because I am one of the black guys that I know that said that I'm not taking it. So, I figured this would be a great conversation to have. First, Neil.
Yep.
First question, how are you doing?
I am still very healthy. Just living life day by day out here.
Okay, give them a quick introduction on what you did at the beginning of this whole process to help discover a vaccine.
Right. So a buddy of mine turned me on to a local research institute that was doing some testing on a possible coronavirus vaccine and asked if I wanted to be involved with it. So I said, sure. Got my first injection of the experimental vaccine on March 16th. I was the second human in the world to get the injection. And 4 weeks later, I got the second dose on April 16th. And I have been doing blood draws and being monitored by the Research Institute ever since.
Okay. Now, Doug,
Yes, sir.
You have participated in a recent trial run to try to get a vaccine, to help try to get a vaccine. What made you, after all these months, decide to jump in there and try to get this help with this work?
So actually, it was some of the information that Neil was putting out there for us and how he chronicled and shared his journey. And I reached out to Neil and discussed a little bit with him, and then started to dig in like our teachers, the Pappas has taught us to educate ourselves and learn. So jumped in and learned a little bit about it. And then as soon as it was available in the Atlanta area, over at the Emory Hope Vaccine Clinic is where they're doing the Phase 3 Moderna trial that I'm in. Went ahead and signed up online, and my sister reached out to me, who's an RN in Charleston, South Carolina, and she said, Doug, you've got some pre-existing conditions. And I'm like, yeah, I'm overweight. I've got high blood pressure that I treat with lisinopril and HCTZ. And so they were actually looking for candidates who were not as healthy as Neil, the mountain biker and outdoorsman that he is. Yes. So I carry a few extra pounds compared to the rest of the population. So I thought it might be a good fit for me, and decided, Atlanta, Emory from Athens, an hour and 15 minutes, easy drive. And one of the big things was I trust Emory. So knowing that they were going to be the ones leading the the study in Atlanta, I really wanted to participate, knowing that it was a world-class health organization that was helping with the trials.
Okay, Mac.
What up?
I'm just going around the room. You're right now studying to become an RN.
At a 4.0 my first semester.
Salute.
Thank you.
Now, like I said before, what made you say or come out and say that you would take the vaccine?
I guess understanding the scientific method, understanding there needs to be observation, tests, and hypothesis, and data. I think the thing that's unfortunate dealing with black people, we're coming from a deficit. We're dealing with systemic racism, institutional racism, and we think everything is designed against us. Which it has been.
Yes.
The skepticism has much merit. But being a part of the scientific community, I understand how, in order for there to be good science, everybody needs to participate. Because this thing is bigger than our race, our class. We're talking about pushing humanity forward. So that's what made me, I want to participate. Because even this semester, a lot of the case studies that I worked on, it was centered around middle-aged white men. So everything is engineered to the genetic material, to the DNA, the genome of white men. So if black people aren't going to participate, by default, we're boxing ourselves out.
Okay.
Out of that fear. So everything, it's almost implicit racism, but it's not intentional. It's just we're not participating. Yeah.
Yes.
Case in point, at Georgia Tech, there were some people doing studies. There were some research scientists doing studies on self-driving cars.
Mm-hmm.
And they noticed that the cars would only hit black people. Why was it only hitting black people? Because there were no black people there to be there to pick up on the color spectrum. So they saw everything else but black. So if we're not in the room when these discussions are happening, again, we're boxing ourselves out.
Okay.
And you can't run from science. It's everywhere.
I agree. Now, Doug, you put out a thing saying you love science.
Absolutely.
Neil, you were our nerd. He was. Neil, am I lying? Did I say anything wrong?
No, you're right.
He was. So when you hear a black guy like myself say, "No, I'm not going to take it," I have later changed that and said I was definitely not going to be of the first. I would not be of the first that would take it.
Sure.
So Rick.
Yeah, go ahead, Doug.
Rick.
Go ahead.
So a friend of mine black friend of mine in Roswell. He's in a mostly white neighborhood, but this week somebody tested positive in the neighborhood for COVID-19. He and I had about an hour and a half long discussion. I think it was, tonight's Friday, so I think Wednesday night I called him up because he reached out about the study. Well, he's worried because it's attacking the black community, the black community, because of either being underserved by medical resources, financial resources, or having a higher risk of high blood pressure, diabetes.
Yes.
The markers that are there.
Yes.
He and I talked, and he said I got a couple of those risk factors. So yesterday morning before Wednesday he volunteered for the Johnson & Johnson trial. So as of yesterday morning, he went and had his appointment, got injected. I've checked in with him twice since then, and he's got some side effects from it. He's had some chills, some body aches, some fatigue that come along with it. But we're starting to see a change with some things, and I've got other black friends that I talked to when I told them I was signed up for the study, and they're like you. They said, no, I don't want anything to do with it. And you know what? The way that America has treated our black community, I totally understand it, and I respect somebody not wanting to roll not wanting to be the first person to roll up their sleeve.
Well, see, this. Okay, I don't. When it comes to things like this, I'm gonna tell you my problem. I sit back and watch the United States government approve so much mess with the FDA. They're approving cloning meats. They putting GMOs in our systems. All these different things that we know that science has proven does not help nobody. And they steady are allowing this stuff into the system. If I'm wrong, please tell me I'm wrong. Because I want to think that this thing is, I want to think that this thing is about the humans race and not the
and
dollar.
You're right, it should be.
And not the dollar bill. Because everything America has shown to me is it's all about the capital.
Can I interject?
Yes, please. Go ahead.
Okay. In my journey of science, pursuing a career in medicine, I feel like I'm a Jedi Knight. The best metaphor I give people for science is you have the Sith, which is the dark side, and the Jedis. The Force is metaphorically, the Force is science. I've met Asian people, white people, black people who love people.
Yes.
And want to maintain healthy bodies. That is their end goal.
Yes.
I haven't had to make any type of oath or prick my finger or sit, none of that crazy conspiracy theory stuff. No, it's not. I haven't experienced.
So you're not part of the Illuminati?
No, sir.
You sure?
I'm positive.
Okay.
So what I'm saying is, anytime you get people and money involved, there are bad people in the world.
Yes.
But what upsets me is when we want to say all of them are bad. No, there are people who are well intended and who want to see people healthy.
No, no, don't get me wrong. I would never say all are, because I know Neil Browning.
But you're smart. You're smart. Most people are not smart. Most people are not critical thinkers. I'm sorry. It is what it is.
You're telling the absolute truth. But see, and that's why I felt the need that this conversation and the three gentlemen that are part of this conversation, that's why I wanted y'all here to be part of this conversation, because because of the diverseness, if that's a word. Diverseness.
We got you.
Yeah, but whatever. Because like I say, I've been following and watching Neil throughout the whole process, and then for Doug to come along. And Doug, I also want to shout you out. Before I got to do this, about 2 weeks ago, you went to another classmate of ours, and Shanice. Dr. Shanice Allen, you went over there and bought lunch for her and her whole class. Salute to you for doing that.
Hey, man, we've got a pretty unique class. I mean,
yes.
I growing up, I didn't realize how much you classmates were teaching me, and I didn't realize some of the things that were gonna impact my life the way they did. Right? I mean, we all grew up in Clark County in Athens, Georgia.
Yeah.
Some outside, it's still Athens, Clark County. Some were Winterville, so it's surrounding areas of Athens. But we all went to the same high school. And some of us went to the same element. I mean, Rick, I think we've known each other since we were 5 years old.
Yes, for elementary school. Yes.
Wow. And probably, if we walk by each other, we give each other a hug and pick up, have lunch like it was yesterday.
Yes, sir.
Wow.
Playing kickball on the blacktop.
Yes, sir. Good old kickball, boy.
So, part of this class and the closeness that we've got is I didn't realize how many of my classmates at the time were living with their aunts and uncles, or their grandmothers were living with them. I've experienced some of that white male privilege in my life. And
whoa! I gotta give you a medal. If I ever see you, high five medal, because that's I have never heard a white person acknowledge that. Oh my God.
Not only will I acknowledge it, but somebody said something on Facebook and they were challenging, the vaccine and saying it had a tracking in it or this or that. I said, look, I'm 48 years old. I'm a white male who's lived a privileged life, and if something happens to me from this vaccine and all I got was 48 years, then I know I'm right with my maker. And I'm fine with that. But what I want to give a shout out to Rick and Shanice and a lot of my other classmates for is, my wife and I have had our nephew. He's been in our care since he was 3 years old. He's 16 going on 17. He's a biracial kid. Wow. And part of the thing that I credit our class with was I don't feel, at least this is coming from my perspective, I didn't feel the racism inside our class that I've seen in my town.
Nope, definitely not.
Our class, the 90, 91, and 92 classes that came out of Cedar Shoals and Clark Central, I think, were some very special classes because those seemed like there was a certain closeness amongst the race, amongst the people. Even though we fought against Clark Central, we still had a closeness and a bond towards them. And like you say, Doug, I've been knowing you since I was 5. I mean, we watched each other grow up. I mean,
wow.
And so the same thing is true for Shanice, right?
Yes.
I mean, I've known Shanice since 5 years old.
Since 5, yes. We all went to
Shoals Elementary.
We all went to Barney
Shanice,
Shoals.
Shanice, black 48-year-old female.
Yes.
With her doctorate in nursing.
Mm-hmm.
Probably smarter. I know she's smarter than me.
Oh, she's yes, all of us. Very smart.
But doing the things that she's doing for our community.
Yes.
Educating, instructing, and a lot of the people going through her institution are minorities, but putting them into a nursing career and a medical career. And guys, she had signed up to get a grant from the county, and you wouldn't believe the hoops that woman jumped through for the county. Yes. I mean, for her community. I mean, offering free COVID tests.
Yes.
Just because she cares.
Yes. Yes.
You talked about the profiteering, and the profiteering is out there, and it's some of these doctors. I can tell you right now that firsthand, I know, and he's a minority doctor, but he's still a male, owns some clinics in Athens, and I know he's doing $50,000 a week in coronavirus tests.
Wow.
See, and that's what scares me right there. That little thing right there, and I know we shouldn't let that little negative outweigh the big, but a lot of that is what's scaring me because you're hearing the reports that if you put corona on it, the hospitals makes more money, the doctors make more money, right. the pharmacies, the pharmaceutical people makes that much more money, and I guess that becomes my problem because now we are looked at as numbers to the bottom line instead of trying to save this America.
And that's capitalism.
Am I off? Am I off in my thinking?
No.
Mm-mm.
So,
yes, I mean, anywhere you get a system that has money involved and people want to make money, there's going to be corruption.
Definitely.
Yes, I agree. So, Neil, since you've been in this the longest, what have you seen? What have you noticed? What is your everyday What is your everyday like now, as opposed to what it was when you started?
So I've been working from home since basically this trial started. I don't have any guidance from my employer that we're going to be back to in office until at the earliest early July. The kids are remote learning at home. My wife is a nurse. She takes care of cancer patients. She goes into work every day. They don't have immune systems, so she and they are kept in an area of the hospital that are very well secluded and kept away from any potential infections because these people don't have immune systems. So she's been safe. None of us have gotten sick in over a year. No common cold, no nothing. Our state is pretty locked down where you can only do curbside pickup at restaurants. There's no gyms. There's no churches. There's no businesses open except for like grocery stores, pharmacies. Thankfully, they put some laws in place where they're allowing things like barbershops to be open, but you don't see a lot of traffic, and it's like a ghost town a lot. Now, my injection, because this was part of a test to put it into people at the very beginning, just to see how it would react in the human body, because this drug had never been given even to animals. I was given 1/4, 25% of the dose that Doug got and that everybody else will get.
Okay.
So I had very, very mild side effects, if you want to even call them that. I had a little bit of a sore arm the morning I woke up after each injection, and that was it. No other issues whatsoever. Now, I still wear a mask. I still stay socially distant. I am very responsible because even if I am immune, I could still carry the virus back into my home and spread it to my family, and I'm not willing to do that.
Yes.
Smart man.
Now, I did have a physical. This was not associated with the trial. It was just my regular doctor I went to 3 weeks ago, and I explained to him about this trial that I'm in, and he said, well, what if, since we're drawing blood anyway, why don't we just go ahead and put in an order to do an antibody test on your blood and see if you still have any 8.5 months later. So he went through and filled out the paperwork and had it done, even though he knew that I wasn't necessarily somebody who had been exposed. And the results came back that I still have antibodies for COVID-19 in my blood.
Okay.
Now, I might be the only person out of the 45 in phase 1 that almost 9 months ago now got the vaccine who still has antibodies. But it's still an interesting data point to say that if we're seeing a lot of people who recovered from having the virus itself don't have any antibodies and therefore no protection against it 3 and 4 months out.
Yeah.
But we're seeing some people who, in my case, took only 25% of the full dose and 9 months later still have antibodies. That's a pretty good sign that this thing's going to help, and in a big way.
Okay.
So let's talk about some of. So Neil shared some of that. Let's talk about some of the science because you said Doug likes science too, right?
Yes, indeed.
So let's talk about the science side of it.
Go ahead.
So I'm in the phase 3, and mine is a double-blind study. So I wasn't supposed to know what I got, whether I got the vaccine candidate or a placebo.
Mm-hmm.
I confirmed with 3 different sources that their placebo was only a saline shot and not some alternate vaccine or a hydroshock saline shot that could cause the soreness or adverse effects. Neil, I think I reached out to you the day after I got the first injection, told you my symptoms, and you go, yep.
And I said, exactly. You absolutely got it.
And Neil was like, yep, that's exactly what because Neil was in that phase 1 trial where they did 25 milligrams, 100 milligrams, and 250 milligrams.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, you're telling me exactly what the phase 1 or the 100 milligram phase 1 participants said. So fast forward 28 days later, I get the second shot. So the first shot, just so y'all know, I had a sore arm that I didn't want to lift past my shoulder for the first 24 hours. I could, but I didn't want to. And I got a headache that was about a 4 out of a 10. It was gone within 72 hours. Everything was fine. I was back to normal. 28 days later, I get that second shot. About 3 hours after that shot, headache starts, and I go, oh boy, here it comes. And this headache was a 5 out of 10. I don't suffer from migraines, so I'm using the Doug scale because I've not been a headache sufferer in my life. Sore arm, same thing. Didn't want to lift it past the parallel of the ground. And next day, everything seems to be normal again. Well, about 8 o'clock the second day, I start getting chills on the couch. And I look over at my wife and I'm like, Kim, you cold? She's like, no, it's 68, 70 degrees in here. It's perfect. I'm like, okay, well, I'm cold. So I go get the thermometer my body temp runs 97.4 almost 100% of my time. I check it, it's 100.3. Okay? So I've got a fever and I've got chills. I take 2 Advil, I go to bed. Before I go to sleep, we have an e-diary that we were filling out. Neil filled this out as well. And this is part of why I think you can trust the FDA with this stuff, is because technology has brought us so far forward with this. Mm-hmm. You know, it's not that they're rushing it or anything like that, but we've got these systems like that Neil runs on the internet with the networks and the interconnectivity that these primary investigators have access to this data now overnight. So I put in my symptoms into this e-diary on my iPhone, and I wake up, and at 8:01 my phone rings, and it's the Emory Vaccine Clinic. It's my caseworker. Hey, Doug, we noticed that you put a symptom in there that you didn't have during the first shot. Are you okay? Yes, I'm fine. Everything seems to be great this morning. Do you need to come to the clinic, or do you need medical attention? I'm like, no, I'm absolutely fine. But that's what I was saying, you know, as far as the science. Trust that the people who are doing this, even the ones, Rick, I got to say, even the ones that are doing it to make money, why would they do anything and be a one-hit wonder and bounce? Because Moderna has been developing an mRNA vaccine for cancer treatment and for other things. They want it to be successful. Yeah, and Zika. So they don't want this to fail. They don't want to just hit $1 billion and run away with the billion and go hide. They want to perpetuate that wealth as well. So digress.
Okay, now I'm gonna let you finish, but now my only retort to that would be, a lot of us feel that the money is in the treatment and not the cure. I'm just telling you what we hear and what we.
If people are dead, there's no profit
right.
return.
People are going to be much sicker and spend a lot more money trying to treat symptoms than they will from the cure. However, what we're starting to see is even in areas where there are no elective surgeries going on. You know, Auntie's got a bunion on her foot, but she can't get that fixed right now because there's too many people in the hospital with COVID.
Yes.
Our hospitals are getting inundated.
Yes.
So we're having full bed capacity when all those people who would get surgeries that aren't life-threatening are taking the day off and not going in. Mm-hmm. So this isn't something we can sustain. So even though, yes, there can be profiteering, and yes, the treatment can make more money. I mean, you know, we got rid of smallpox, and polio's almost out the door. If it's something we can get rid of, there's plenty of other stuff people get sick from. I mean, you know, going to McDonald's every day and getting high blood pressure and cholesterol versus just catching a cold.
Yes.
Right.
I agree with
you. So I'm going to digress for just a second back to what Neil had talked about with antibodies, okay? Mm-hmm. Because I also am participating in a study. It's not a trial, so it's a study here at UGA called ProjectSparta.org. Okay? You can check this out on the internet. It's also out in LA, and a couple of other universities. But so 45 days post second injection, I went in. Moderna has gotten 3 blood draws out of me. The Sparta Project has now had 3 blood draws out of me. I went in and got my antibody levels checked at Project Sparta. It was like October 10th, 15th, somewhere in there. They did my blood draw. I come back in the next month, and I'm like, hey, can I get my titer levels? And she's like, sure.
What is that?
Goes,
for
So your titer levels are the amount of antibodies that your system is either holding or producing to fight the infection. Okay? So I said, okay, well, what are my titer levels? She said, well, your titers are 124.7 micrograms per milliliter. Okay? And I'm like, so how does that look? And she goes, that's among the highest in the study. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, that's good to know. At this point in time, they didn't know that I was in the Moderna trial because they didn't have a qualifying question asking if I had been injected with any medicine. Mm-hmm. So 4 weeks later, I go in for my next draw. They draw it. and I said, or at the third blood draw, I say, hey, what were my titer levels? And she goes, well, they were 90.4. I was like, wow, they fell a bunch. She goes, yeah, we were actually talking about yours today. And I said, really? Why? She goes, you're actually
because you're a freak.
Exactly right.
Right, because they're like, nobody has anything even close to this.
Neil hit it on the head. A normal person in this, so just so you know, they're trying to enroll 1,500 people in Athens, Georgia for this study.
Uh-huh.
Out of the participants that are in it now, 40% have tested positive for COVID-19 antibodies. 40%. To my knowledge, I'm the only one who's in the Moderna study who's gotten a vaccine in the study. So she the investigator tells me that a normal recovery level, the people they have in the study have between 1 and 3 micrograms per milliliter. That means my levels were somewhere between 30 and 100 times higher after the Moderna injection to what a recovered patient was.
So you're going to become a new X-Men?
What it means is that his body is ramped up and able to handle COVID better than even somebody who had COVID. And the reason for that is when you catch a virus, your body basically empties the refrigerator. It throws everything it's got at that until it figures out something that works. And by the time it figures out what works, it's pretty much got things under control. Well, we already know what the virus looks like. So the vaccine is using the little factories inside the cells of our body to produce one of the 21 proteins that make up the virus. And when it is exhibited in our bloodstream, our body recognizes it as an invader, and it only has that one piece of the virus that it can recognize and attack. So it only builds one antibody instead of throwing everything it has at it. So all the focus is on making the correct antibody, and it makes it in vast numbers so that you end up with so many higher numbers of those antibodies that can actually fight the virus versus trying 100 things that didn't work and only finding one that did.
Can I say what he said in layman's terms?
Yes.
Okay. mRNA means messenger ribonucleic acid. We all know that. We smart. Okay. Basically, imagine being the head football coach at UGA, and you have to play Alabama next week.
So we're gonna lose?
No. Let's think positive. Think positive. Think positive. And the coach at University of Florida is like, look, this is what the quarterback likes to do. This is how they run their offense. So I'm letting you know what's happening or what's going to happen so you can be prepared for it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of how vaccines function with, you know what I'm saying?
Within the body.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, yeah.
But the last time that Georgia played,
don't even say it.
So the antibody, it didn't work.
I'm trying to be positive, man.
It didn't quite work out.
Let it go.
Just trying to make it simple.
21 will be our year.
Oh my goodness! Woosah. So, Doug, Neil, Mac, something has been approved. I've been reading it. Neil, you posted it that an unanimous decision have been approved for the Moderna.
Moderna. Sure. That's the one that Doug and I are part of.
Yes.
Last week, Pfizer got the emergency authorization, and this week, Moderna did.
Mm-hmm.
Let's also, Rick, let's talk about that for some of your listeners and make sure that everybody's on the same page and understands this, right? There has been every bit of research that I've been able to do. I have not found one single COVID-19 test that is, quote, FDA approved, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Every single thing that we have for COVID right now is under what Neil just said, an EUA, Emergency Use Authorization Approval. Right? So we are constantly learning, like Max said, with the scientific method. We're going to learn something next month that we didn't know this month about coronavirus or about the treatment or about something else. I mean, and the difference is, like he said, people being critical thinkers have to think for themselves and have to make the decision. Okay, when is it safe for me to take the vaccine for me and my family, and when is it when is it the right time to trust that we've got enough data and enough information that the decisions are being made right. And as far, seeing that the FDA panel, like Neil said, I think he posted it was almost a unanimous decision. It was 20-0 with one person abstaining for Moderna, whereas Pfizer had 16-4 with an abstention or something. So, the Moderna safety record and the things that they were looking at. The other thing is, the people who were around day in, day out are more likely to get the Moderna vaccine once it starts getting pumped out versus the Pfizer, because it doesn't have to be stored in such cold conditions as the Pfizer vaccine.
Now, my question to that would be, I've heard some scientists say that it normally takes at least 2 years of clinical trials and studies to come up with a vaccine. How is that? Why is that different now?
I can field this one. So, you remember SARS back in 2002?
Yes.
Okay, that was a coronavirus. Coronavirus is basically a type of virus.
Yep.
They've been around for decades. We know what they do. We know how they work. Each one's a little bit different. So it's familiar, even though this one is brand new and has never hit the human race before. Then we've got
we know of.
Then we have our vaccines. Normally, phase 1, which I'm in, would start out and completely finish, and they would look at all the data at the end of 1 year before they start phase 2. Then they would do the same with phase 3. So that's what's adding the years to it. Now, based on scientific research, 99.98% of all vaccine injuries happen in the first 6 weeks. So after we've had a good 3 months under phase 1 with nobody having a third arm grow out of their body or something weird happen, they said, we feel like because there's so much death happening and this is a good candidate and it's showing good numbers and seems safe, we're going to still finish phase 1, which I will complete in April of 2021. But we're going to start phase 2. And if phase 2, after a few months, also looks equally good with nobody having a problem, we're going to start phase 3. So we can do them in parallel at the same time rather than finish, look at all the data, and then start it because of these unique circumstances of a global pandemic.
But Neil, didn't they so in phase 1, correct me if I'm wrong, but in phase 1, they tested 25 milligrams, 100 milligrams, and 250 milligrams, right?
Micrograms.
Micrograms, sorry. Didn't they back off of the 250 because people were getting ill and starting to have some some higher adverse reactions? So,
right, and that's part of phase 1 is figuring out what the right dosage is, as well as if people have a bad reaction to just the vaccine itself. So part of it's right-sizing the dose. They actually got rid of my dosage at 25 micrograms in phase 2 and upped it to 50 and kept the 100, which is what they eventually kept as only 100 going into phase 3 and what is going to be released for consumption as of now.
Woo!
And can I say one thing real quick?
Can we go play kickball?
Absolutely.
Nothing is to be feared, only understood.
We played at a reunion like a decade ago.
Yes. After this, we need some recess. Need a little recess.
And maybe that'll happen in 2021. I think Mac had something to say though.
Go ahead, Mac.
Oh no, I was just saying it was so beautiful. It's like you have theory and application. And I've been taught theory in class. Mm-hmm. And I didn't even feel the need to speak because everything that they were saying is literally what I learned throughout the course of this semester. You know, and it's just beautiful just seeing science applied in real time. You know what I'm saying? And I just want people to understand nothing is to be feared, only understood. You know?
But see, that is correct. That is correct. That is absolutely correct. And the understanding and breaking it down, a lot of this stuff, the commoner does not understand the language.
Mm-mm. Exactly.
And to me, I think that is a lot of the problem, especially, come on now, with some of black folk. Some of black folk that ain't really got outside and learned that and read that, and we ain't finna read it all. All we gonna do is click on the post.
Right.
The language. To me, the language need to be, break it down as they fire, yo. Because a lot of it, I mean, because a lot of the stuff that whoo, I need recess. I need to go outside and play. But I'm glad for I'm glad. That's why I was so hoping that we could do this, so that we can get the conversation, so we can interpret it, so that people can understand that this may be okay, and so to help me make a better informed decision when this thing come down for me and my family.
Look, Rick, when it's your turn,
when it comes down to it, the best way you can learn is asking questions, because nobody doesn't understand what you don't know. You have to ask a question so that we know what to say.
Yes.
People sitting up there listening to a lecture and taking notes aren't learning half as much as when the class participates and asks questions and gets an organic experience where it's moving around to topics that they never would have covered if they just read out of the book.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And what was you saying, Doug?
So, Rick, when it's your turn, you got my cell phone number. When it's your turn, if you're nervous about this, you call me. I'll drive down there, and I'll sit there and hold your hand while you get the shot.
Hey, that's real. That's real.
That's so nice.
That's some real
friendship.
That's friendship.
Friendship.
And Doug is being serious.
I know he is.
No. He's serious. He will do that.
I absolutely know he is.
Look, I'll take it. Look, I'll be a double guinea pig. I'll take a shot. I'll take a shot at the same time with you.
I absolutely know he's serious. But no.
I fully. Hey, look. Moderna's got. I don't know how long phase one's commitment was, but Moderna's got my ass for 24 months.
Yeah,
okay.
I am 14.
So I fully expect. So I got a letter. I got a letter from Moderna last night. It was a encrypted email talking about unblinding us, basically telling us whether we got it or whether we didn't got it. Well, I know I got it. I'm 99.999% sure. I'll leave 0.001%, but come on, I got all the data points.
You definitely did.
I got the science. I got the science to prove it. But talking about unblinding us and the 15,000 people that got the placebo, if they want to do Pfizer, they'll release them from the study. Otherwise, they will immediately vaccinate those 15,000 with the Moderna because they want the data. They still want the safety data.
Right.
I fully expect Moderna to tell us after 1 year, at the 12-month mark, if our antibody levels are below or at the level that a recovered patient is, so 1 to 3 micrograms per milliliter, that they're going to say, hey, we'd like to do a second injection. And you know what? I'm going to roll my sleeve up and go, and it's going to be the same nurse over at the Emory Clinic because they know I hate needles because I'm a scaredy cat, man. So these blood draws are killing this fat boy. I ain't going to lie. So I'm going to roll up my sleeve and I'm going to look at her for the third time and go, you going to make me glow green again?
Oh man. So I think Vice President Pence.
Yeah, he took it today.
He took it today.
Yep.
So so how's that stuff? How do we know that stuff is ready. I'm talking about in this. Is it this? What is my question? How do we know that is?
I already know. I see where you're going with it. Let me be quiet.
Help me.
How do you know he didn't get a saline shot?
Exactly.
Yes.
You don't.
Well, I'll tell you why I don't think he got a saline shot. Because he doesn't want to die.
but
and Doug has a really good point, because you want to talk about being in a bad place. Being in the White House, you're going to get Rona.
Yeah.
How many people work there and gotten it?
Right.
Dude, didn't the head of security, I don't know if it was the Secret Service or just the White House security, hadn't he lost his leg now after his fight with coronavirus?
Yes, he lost his big toe on his left foot and his leg below the knee on his right foot. They put a GoFundMe page for that man because he doesn't have the medical insurance working in the White House to help pay for everything.
That's insane.
See, that's a whole nother problem. How do you work for?
If nothing
And that's
else,
how you know the system is broken.
Definitely.
If nothing else, shouldn't that mean people need to at least look at universal health care? So at least you can get that handle? That is ridiculous.
How in the hell I work for the man and I can't have the? Come on, man.
Because his employer chose to go with a different form of health care, and it did not cover what he needed it to cover.
See, that's
not to mention that I didn't hear about this guy getting flown to Walter Reed Medical Center in a helicopter and given 5 doctors and experimental drugs.
Right.
Neither did Herman.
Nope. Herman sure didn't.
Sure did not.
Nope.
Sure Granted, he had stage 4 cancer, but still, you didn't see him getting the heroic,
Yes.
The above all. Okay, let me ask you this question, Rick. Since you said, or Mac, whoever it was that was asking the question about how do we know that Pence got it? I mean, one of our greatest presidents, Barack Obama, is willing to roll up his sleeve too.
True.
If him and Bush, who you've seen Bush do a 180,
Clinton,
a Republican president who has done a 180 as far as showing that he cares about humanity,
yes,
and and supports Biden, and to that matter, I believe Clinton has said he will take it too. If all three of those men stand up and take it, will that help you believe?
And they're going to do it on TV.
Hey, I'm coming.
Of course they're going to do it.
But
on
I mean,
TV.
you got to remember, Barack went to Flint and took a half a sip of some Aquafina and said it was the Flint water, and it was all good. So, no, I'm not. Listen, I am not a conspiracy theorist. I'm just trying to look at this as both sides. Devil's advocate.
Like I say,
I'm just saying.
Neil and Doug, I trust y'all more than I trust the presidents of the United States of America. And
you personally know us.
And that's about the realest as I can get, even with Barack being one of them. I trust Neil Browning, Doug Lloyd, and Mac more than I trust any president of these United States of America.
That's fair.
So I would look at your data, you guys' data, before I look at theirs.
Yeah, how about this data right here? So I told you about the blood draws, right? Mm-hmm. Other than athletes here at UGA, I'm logging into my portal right now, looking at my test results for COVID-19. I've had that swab shoved up my nose 16 times now.
What?
I've had it 3 times. I've had it twice for Moderna. I've done the spit saliva test now 3 times for the Sparta, for Project Sparta, and I've had the nasal swab. Why? Because we have surveillance testing for free here at UGA. And I want the data points. So October 1st, negative. October 9th, negative. October 16th, negative. October 29th, negative. November 5th, negative. November 16th, negative. November 19th, negative. November 24th, negative. December 1st, negative. December 7th, negative. December 17th, negative. December 23rd, scheduled.
You're a gangster, man. You're a soldier.
Your nose doesn't like you, Doug.
Hey, fellas.
16 times?
But, hey,
Come on now,
make
y'all
you do the
know
Harlem
Miss
Shake.
Ward. You know Miss Ward used to catch me picking my nose and make me go back there and wash my hands in third grade all the time.
No.
Hey, I thought about that. I was like,
That's
hold on, did they used to
crazy.
call him? Yeah.
16 times?
Woo! Hey, man. Hats off to y'all.
Both of you.
Neil Browning, Doug Lloyd, Mac, salute to y'all, man. Thank y'all for the work that y'all are trying to do for the human race. The whole entire human race. Thank you.
That includes you, Rick.
Do you watch
You
The
gotta
Walking
spread.
Dead?
You gotta spread the truth, man.
No. And that's why
That's
y'all
true.
here. No,
That's
I don't
true.
watch Walking Dead.
Okay, there's a scene. Okay, I'm a big Walking Dead head.
Uh-huh.
Rick Grimes is my favorite character. There's a scene when they're in downtown Atlanta and the virus starts spreading. And he told them, look, there are no black people. There are no white people. They're just people.
Yeah.
And we're fighting this virus.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So that's where we got to be with it,
Yes.
you know?
And like I said, and that's why this
And I
was
will
important
support
to.
y'all in the fight.
That's why this was important. Believe you me, that is why this was important to me. The only thing I wish could happen better is all of us were sitting in one room together having this conversation. But it was important to me that we all have this conversation because Doug and Neil are both white and the rest of us are black, and it's a conversation that needs to be had amongst the masses, amongst the human race, because America ain't gonna get right till America gets right.
Maybe the aliens will take us again.
Because America is not right now, and unless we put aside all these BS differences and try to get this thing fixed,
Right.
we in trouble. The numbers are steady going up, deaths are steady going up, money is steady going down.
Well, for some people now,
For some
it's
people,
steady going
exactly,
down.
Exactly. Some people.
Because your top billionaires during this pandemic,
they
top billionaires have added to their wealth
they're great.
faster and more over this period than any other period of time.
Kelly Loeffler. Let me stop.
They are great.
I've already voted. It don't matter. They can't hurt me no more.
We need more Doug.
Hey, fellas, I appreciate y'all. Doug, Neil, thank y'all. Neil, again, for coming on again. Doug,
Of course.
Thank you. We got
My pleasure.
We got a few minutes left. Each one of you three guys, shout out, give us some, say something to all of us that make us, give us hope.
Be empathetic. You know, I mean, you wear the mask, and that's to protect other people, not to protect you.
You're right.
You don't know if you have it, but if you do and you don't feel sick, it keeps you from spreading it as far. It works. And until enough people get vaccinated to get this under control, all we have is what we've been doing, which is masking up, staying socially distant, being responsible, and loving your fellow man and woman. Because the virus doesn't care if you're Democrat, independent, socialist, communist. It doesn't care if you're black, white. It doesn't care what God you worship. It says, oh, there's human DNA. I'm going to get me some.
Neil, we probably should have let you win last. You trying to drop the mic.
I don't even, what you say after that?
We might should let you go last. Man. And we have to put that in the notes next time. Let Neil go last.
Well, I'll follow up. I'll follow up with Neil. It didn't even care that somebody was orange. It got him too.
True.
So it didn't care. But here's since Neil's covered all the safety things. Let me give my 60 seconds. Let me give my 60-second shout out to all the other privileged white men out there. It's time for y'all to use your damn voice for people who don't have the same voice that you have. Coming from a privileged white male, I'm telling y'all to speak up when you see something and stop being so damn silent and lazy and act like you're making your mama proud.
True.
Mac, I'm gonna let you, Mac.
Larry Bird and Michael Jordan just shot.
Like, come
Man,
on, Brian,
I
you
mean,
can do it.
I guess know why you think and feel the things you think and feel. Like study. Right now, I'm reading this book by Carl Sagan called The Demon Haunted World, and he in the book he pulls up some data. It says that 95% of U.S. citizens are scientifically illiterate.
Very much so.
95%.
Yep.
Very much so.
So it's like, don't just be opinionated, be informed.
Amen. Oh boy, y'all just. So like you got one.
I just want to say shout out to all the teachers. We made it. We made it through first semester.
Yes, Lord.
Hopefully, 21 will be calm.
Big
And
Shoe,
we
you
can
got
get
anything
there.
you need to say? I mean, ain't no more mics around here. You be dropping.
I ain't gonna drop one. I ain't got one to drop.
Hey, y'all, it's time to sweep the floors, clean the clippers. Since we couldn't say nothing no better than what Neil, Doug, and Max said, I think us three got the bathroom.
Yeah,
The shop is closed.
Peace.
Get out.
All right, thanks, guys. Much love to you.
Thank you.
Y'all stay safe, stay healthy.
You too.
We're talking randomly.